You've probably had this feeling. You're scrolling, reading comments, watching discourse unfold, and something feels off. The takes are too smooth. The arguments are too perfectly structured. The hot takes arrive too fast. The outrage is too synchronized. The viral tweet that captures exactly what everyone was thinking. It was posted 30 seconds after the event by an account with no face, no history, no human fingerprints. You can't point to anything specific, but the internet doesn't feel human anymore. It feels like a stage, a very well-lit, very active stage, where you can't quite tell who's an actor and who's an audience member. Here's the thing, you're not imagining it. What you're sensing is the collapse of the internet as a human space, and its replacement by something automated, something synthetic, and something deeply, fundamentally strange. The dead internet theory first appeared in 2021 on Forschung's technology board, of all places. The original post was long, it was rambling. It was easy to dismiss as the kind of paranoid fantasy that the anonymous internet specializes in producing. But its central observation was precise, sharper than its presentation. The claim was this: most of the content you see online, the posts, the comments, the videos, the art, the music, the discourse, is no longer made by humans. It's generated by bots, algorithms, and AI systems. Designed to simulate human activity. Designed to feel authentic, while serving corporate and government interests that have no interest in you knowing they exist. The post argued that the internet you remember, the messy, chaotic, creative internet of forums and blogs and personal websites, and real human arguments, that internet is gone. It's been systematically replaced, not overnight, not dramatically, quietly, gradually, the way a forest becomes a parking lot, one tree at a time over years, until one day you look up and nothing is the same. When the theory first appeared, it was laughed off, of course. Conspiracy thinking, 4chan nonsense. Then people started looking, and what they found was worse than the theory. By 2024, cybersecurity researchers estimated that somewhere between 40 and 60% of all web traffic was non-human. Bots, scrapers, crawlers, automated agents, moving through the internet in vast, invisible currents. Not reading, not engaging, just occupying. Then generative AI arrived, and the content flood became a content tsunami. AI-generated blog posts, thousands of them, published daily, designed to catch search traffic for terms no human writer would target. AI-generated product reviews come out detailed, convincing, 5-star and 1-star, written by systems that have never touched the product. AI-generated YouTube videos, AI scripts, AI voiceovers, AI visuals, AI thumbnails. The entire production pipeline automated. AI-generated news articles that summarize other AI-generated news articles that summarized AI-generated press releases. AI-generated music released under fake artist names, streamed by bot accounts, playlisted by algorithms, generating real revenue for real companies from entirely synthetic products. The platforms noticed, and instead of fighting the flood, they joined it. Major social media companies began integrating AI-generated content directly into their core experiences. AI summaries, AI suggestions, AI comments, entire AI-powered accounts with consistent personalities, posting schedules, and simulated relationships with each other. The humans didn't leave the internet, they were just diluted. The dead internet isn't one thing. It's happening in 3 layers simultaneously. And understanding each layer is how you learn to see it. Layer 1 is the most visible, the AI content flood. The economics here are brutal and simple. AI can produce 1,000 articles for the cost of one human-written piece, 1,000 images, 1,000 videos. For content farms, this isn't a creative choice, it's the only way to compete. When your competitor is publishing 100 AI-generated posts a day, you either match their volume or disappear from search results. The result is a web increasingly filled with text no human ever thought, wrote, or verified. Information that was never checked against reality, because it was never connected to reality in the first place. And here's where it gets genuinely strange. AI models are now being trained on the output of other AI models. The synthetic internet is becoming the training data for the next generation of synthesis. Researchers call this model collapse. Each generation degrades slightly. Text becomes more generic, more repetitive, more disconnected from facts. Images accumulate artifacts, visual glitches that compound across generations. The internet isn't just filling with synthetic content. It's filling with synthetic content that is measurably getting worse over time. Layer 2 is the bot army, the automated accounts that simulate human engagement. And this is where the dead internet stops being an abstract concern and becomes something you have definitely interacted with. The sophisticated bot ecosystem includes political influence bots, networks of thousands of accounts posting coordinated narratives within minutes of breaking events, engagement bots, accounts that exist solely to like, share, and comment, boosting visibility for whatever they're pointed at. Follower bots, inflating perceived popularity for a few dollars per thousand. And the newest and most disturbing category, personality bots. AI-powered accounts with consistent personas, elaborate backstories, posting schedules, and even simulated arguments with other personality bots. A 2024 investigation found that on some major platforms, over a quarter of accounts discussing political events were automated. Not spam accounts, not obvious bots. Sophisticated, persona-driven, engagement-optimized synthetic participants in public discourse. You're not arguing with a person. You're arguing with a script. And the script was written by someone you will never meet. Layer 3 is the deepest and strangest. The synthetic reality layer. This is where the boundary between human and machine doesn't just blur. It becomes strategically irrelevant. AI influencers. Virtual personalities with millions of followers. AI-generated music released under fake artist names, complete with AI-generated album art. Virtual companions. AI friends. AI romantic partners. AI therapists. Designed to simulate human emotional connection with increasing fidelity. Customer service agents trained to use typos, conversational pauses, and casual language. This is the strangest inversion of the dead internet. The synthetic content isn't just fake. It's fake content designed to feel more authentically human than actual human content. It's optimized for emotional response. It knows exactly what will make you engage, because it was built by systems that measure engagement at the millisecond level. And you are almost certainly interacting with some of it right now, without knowing. None of this is accidental. The dead internet exists because it's profitable. More specifically, it exists because the internet's business model made authenticity economically irrational. The internet runs on advertising. Advertising pays for attention. Attention is measured by engagement. Human content is expensive. You have to pay creators. You have to wait for production. You have to deal with unpredictability. Human content is high variance. Sometimes brilliant, sometimes not. Always expensive relative to the alternative. AI-generated content is cheap, near zero marginal cost after the initial investment. It can be produced continuously in any volume, on any topic, in any style. It can be A/B tested, optimized for engagement patterns, refined against performance data. It never sleeps. It never demands better terms. Bots make the economics even more perverse because bots can generate engagement on AI content, creating a closed loop where synthetic content gets synthetic engagement, which triggers algorithmic promotion, which generates real human views, which generates real advertising revenue. The humans in this system aren't the creators. They're not even the audience. They're the raw material. The incentives aren't broken. They're working exactly as designed. They're designed to extract maximum engagement for minimum cost. The fact that this produces a fake internet is not a bug. It's an acceptable externality, something the system doesn't measure, doesn't price, and therefore doesn't care about. Stay with me, because the last section is the one that actually matters. why the dead internet might actually be reversible, and 3 things you can do starting today. The most immediate casualty of the dead internet is trust. Trust is the invisible infrastructure of human society. It's what allows you to read something and believe it, to interact with someone and assume good faith, to consume information and integrate it into your understanding of the world. Trust is not a feeling. It's a functional requirement for living in a complex society. When you can't tell if a review was written by a human who used the product, you can't use reviews to make decisions. When you can't tell if a news article was written by a journalist or auto-generated by a content farm, you can't use news to understand the world. When you can't tell if you're arguing with a person or a synthetic persona, you can't use discourse to refine your thinking. When every piece of content could be real or could be generated, could be human, or could be algorithmic, the entire information ecosystem becomes epistemologically unreadable. And then there's the human cost, the one that doesn't appear in engagement metrics. Real creators, the people who research, who think, who make things that matter, are being buried. Their work is now competing against an infinite, tireless flood of synthetic content that costs almost nothing to produce. This isn't a competition, it's an erasure. And the people being erased are journalists, researchers, artists, thinkers, independent creators, anyone whose work depends on being discoverable in a system that no longer distinguishes between authentic and synthetic. Here's what makes the dead internet theory both true and dangerously misleading. It's not a conspiracy. No one decided to kill the internet. There was no meeting, no coordinated plan, no shadowy cabal of platform executives and government agents conspiring to replace human content with synthetic sludge. What happened is simpler than a conspiracy and much harder to fix. The internet's incentive structure made authenticity economically irrational. When synthetic content is cheaper than human content and performs just as well, sometimes better, choosing human content is choosing to lose money. When bots boost engagement metrics and engagement metrics determine revenue and algorithmic promotion, not using bots is leaving value on the table. When algorithms reward optimization, and optimization is easier when you control every variable of the content. Not optimizing is professional self-sabotage. The dead internet wasn't designed. It emerged from millions of individual, rational, profit-maximizing decisions, each one defensible in isolation, that collectively produce an outcome no one claims to want. Systems thinkers call this perverse emergence. When individually logical choices create a collectively terrible result. The internet wasn't murdered, it wasn't stolen, it was optimized to death by the same logic that optimizes everything else. The internet you remember, the forums, the personal blogs, the weird creative experiments, the authentic communities that formed around shared passion rather than algorithmic suggestion, that internet still exists. It's been pushed to the margins, made invisible by the algorithmic prioritization of synthetic, optimized, engagement-maximizing content. So what do you actually do about this? 3 things. Structural, not willpower-based. Architecture changes, not mindset shifts. First, change where you look. The dead internet lives on algorithmically sorted feeds. The For You page, the trending tab, the recommended next, the infinite scroll. The human internet lives in intentional spaces. RSS, feeds you choose, newsletters written by humans you trust, forums you navigate yourself, direct websites you type into the browser, communities you opt into rather than feeds that select for you. The algorithm shows you what's optimized for engagement. Direct sources show you what's chosen by humans. This distinction is the entire game. Second, verify before amplifying. Before you share something, before you engage with it, before you argue with it, before you let it take up space in your mind, ask one question. Is there any evidence a human being actually made this? Third, support human creators directly, not through algorithmic engagement, which the platform takes a cut of, but directly. The only counterweight to synthetic engagement is real engagement. Every time you choose a human creator over algorithmic content, every time you spend money or attention on something you know was made by a person, you are casting a vote for the internet you want to exist. None of this will fix the dead internet. The economic incentives aren't changing. The AI content flood is not going to stop. The bot armies are not going to be defeated. But you don't need to fix the whole system. You just need to build an exit for yourself, a way to reach the human internet, and to be reachable by it. The dead internet theory started as a paranoid fantasy about bots replacing humans. A Forshon post that should have been forgotten. The reality it pointed to is more mundane than the fantasy, and in some ways more disturbing. The internet isn't being stolen by machines. It's being sold, piece by piece, to an engagement economy that doesn't care whether the content is real, whether the interaction is authentic, or whether the human on the other side actually exists. The question isn't whether the internet is dead. The question is whether you're still capable of recognizing what's alive. Whether you still remember what human-made things feel like. Whether you can still find them, or whether the algorithm has trained you to stop looking. The internet you remember is still there. You just have to choose it. And now you know why that choice is harder than it should be.